Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video, and today I am doing my annual roundup of E3, not E3, Summer Game Fest, Big June Gaming Week, whatever we want to call it. I think at this point we can officially say that E3 is dead, it's gone, and no one wants it back because Jeff Keighley proved that he can do it better. When E3 cancelled for 2020 due to COVID and Jeff Keighley put together an online showcase and all of the other games companies realised that they could also make online showcases, everyone just kind of realised that we don't really need E3 anymore. E3 is obsolete, it's unnecessary, and considering the stories I've heard about the people who run E3 and how difficult it is to work with them, I'm not surprised that all the games companies would rather be at Summer Game Fest. And so I don't think we're going to see another E3. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad thing because everyone seems to be doing just great without them. My relationship with E3 has changed over the years. A decade ago, I would just watch the trailers for the games that I was interested in, and then I started watching the big shows like Sony and Ubisoft, the ones where I knew there was a lot of things I wanted to see. But then when Summer Games Fest came around in 2020, paired with the fact that the world was shut down and I had absolutely nothing better to do, I started watching more of the shows, and this year I made it my mission to watch everything. Call it FOMO, call it me having no life, or call it Scotland being 28 plus degrees and not wanting to go outside lest I simply evaporate in the sunlight. And with the exception of one show, I did actually watch the entire week. And trust me, I have the melted brain to prove it. Turns out when you consume nothing but gaming showcases for a straight week, you really do start to suffer. You lose all sense of reality after a while, and then people ask you what games you saw and you're like, I don't even know anymore. I don't remember. It's all just one big game. But anyway, without further ado, here are my thoughts on Big June Gaming Summer Fest 2023. So kicking off the entire week before the actual proper beginning of Summer Game Fest, we had the Guerrilla Collective showcase on the 7th of June. Now, I've always been a big fan of Guerrilla Collective and the mix in general. I love what they represent, and I'm glad that they're still holding their showcase post-pandemic. They set up the Guerrilla Collective, as they said during this year's showcase, as a way of having guerrilla marketing for games during a time when, you know, it wasn't as easy to market your games. And seeing as there is still no E3, it kind of makes sense that they're still holding their online showcase after all these years, because why not? That said, I don't feel like this one had the energy of the past showcase. I was really hoping that since it was the first one of the week, it would get me really hyped up for what was to come, and Guerrilla Collective always has a really good energy about it, and as much as I still love Justin Woodward, I just felt that him and his co-host Jay Watts just felt a bit flat in the Guerrilla Collective. I just wasn't feeling the buzz, in my opinion. I was just looking for more energy, especially considering they were the first show of the week. But despite that though, there were loads of games in their showcase that I like the look of, so let's have a quick run through them. In the cozy game genre, we have A Tiny Sticker Tale, Sticky Business, Echoes of Plum Grove, and A Corgi's Cozy Hike. So A Tiny Sticker Tale is this kind of cute game where you basically are in a storybook and you drag stickers to make paths. So you drag a bridge and put it in the storybook and it makes a bridge so your characters can cross it and they walk around in the world. Looks like it would be a fun little game. Echoes of Plum Grove is a farm sim, which to be honest I saw hundreds of this week and most of them don't appeal to me because I'm just not really into farming sims. I love Animal Crossing, but that's about as close to a farming sim as I get. But there's something about Echoes of Plum Grove that just stuck out to me. It looked fun. Sticky Business is a game where you run an online sticker business. Basically all the fun of having an Etsy store without the actual talent. And A Corgi's Cozy Hike is this kind of Sparrow-esque adventure where you play as a flying corgi and you just kind of fly about this mountain and help other animals and stuff. It looks super cute. Other than that, we had Forgotlings, an RPG magical adventure game, which looked very intriguing. World of Horror, a text-based adventure that looks genuinely disturbing and gave me the creeps, but you know, what else do you want from a horror game? Toxic Crusaders, which is absolutely not my thing at all, but it has an absolutely banging theme tune, so I just wanted to shout that one out. A Bonnie Odyssey, which caught my attention straight away for its use of the traditional Scottish song Loch Lomond. And as it turns out, the game is you playing as a Scottish girl running around science research bases in Scotland. It's described as a retro-futurist puzzle mystery according to Steam. It's a narrative about a girl trying to reconnect with her father across different time periods through these research centres or something. I'm there. I'm in. I'm on board. Corpo Nation, which is a time management type game that reminds me a lot of like Don't Feed the Monkeys and like Death and Taxes, Papers, Please, that kind of thing. Looks really interesting. I have never finished Don't Feed the Monkeys because that game drove me to distraction, so maybe I'll get on better with Corpo Nation. Time will tell. You'll remember last year I mentioned that there was an abundance of frog-themed games. Like, I saw literally like 15 frog-themed games last year, and clearly it worked out because there are more frog games this year as well. The first up was Ollie Frog Toad Skater, which is basically the classic Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but you're a little frog. It's, you know, you collect the letters, you collect, like, objects like tapes, you have to do certain, like, moves, get a certain amount of points. Like, literally all of the things you did in the classic Tony Hawk's Pro Skater are here in this new game. I know a lot of people have been itching for a new Tony Hawk game that is, you know, reminiscent of the classic ones and that doesn't suck the way that THPS 5 did. So maybe this will scratch the itch for all of us. Maybe Ollie Frog Toad Skater is what we've all needed all along. Buy Sweet Carol, a spiritual successor to the horror game Clock Tower, but styled like a Disney princess movie. Just really intrigued by how all of that works. Death Trick Double Blind, which is a detective visual novel, which really does feel like someone just looked at Turnabout Big Top and said, what if this was a whole game? It's a detective mystery set in a circus, so very big Turnabout Big Top energy. But it looks really good and I'm excited for it. We also had 3 Minutes to 8, a pixel art adventure game. I Am Future, a game which I took interest in last year and I still don't really know what it is, but it has an absolutely brilliant theme tune and that just has me intrigued. Nivalis, another game that I took interest in last year, and despite seeing it at multiple showcases this year, I still have no idea what the concept is. It's some kind of hyper-realistic, futuristic, cyberpunk, slice-of-life restaurant sim. I really don't understand it. Like, the graphics look incredible, but it's a restaurant sim, but it's got like a whole big world, but it's a restaurant sim. So I'm honestly so confused as to what this game is, and every time I see a trailer I hope I get a little bit more understanding, and I never do. So yeah, maybe it's like, you remember how Hideo Kojima said that he was never going to tell us what Death Stranding was about and we were just going to have to buy it? I feel like Nivalis is the new Death Stranding. We also had Gory Cuddly Carnage, which I saw last year. Still looks ridiculously fun. You are a little angry cat, if I remember right, or a bear, and you run around on a skateboard and fight unicorns or something. Looks like chaos. Big lollipop chainsaw vibes from that one. And finally, The Bookwalker Thief of Tales, which is a narrative mystery adventure game with a kind of top-down isometric, is that the word? Perspective? Anyway, I thought it looked good. I'm very intrigued. So while I thought the Guerrilla Collective's show wasn't the most exciting, they certainly had a great range of games from all different genres. Every single genre of game that you could ever want was in there, and I think I've got more games listed from that show than any other show that I was interested in, so I suppose it turned out to be a pretty good show in the end. Next up, on the 8th of June, we had the main event, Summer Game Fest, with our boy Jeff Keighley. I saw someone on Twitter calling this Key 3, and you know what? They're right, this is Key 3. He destroyed E3 and he replaced it what a hero. Just this wee guy in trainers taking down the biggest gaming expo in the world. Just incredible. So for the first time, Summer Game Fest had a live audience, which really gave us that old school E3 vibe. And by old E3 vibe, I mean being able to gauge the interest in the trailers by the audience reaction. Like how every time Jeff mentioned Fortnite, there was just complete silence in the room until one guy up the back couldn't handle the secondhand embarrassment anymore and let out one solitary woo. Painful. It was so embarrassing. And I was like, yes, this is E3. This is Key 3 is a go. So the first game on show was the new Prince of Persia from Ubisoft, which I was certainly not expecting, but honestly it looks kind of trash. It didn't really look like Prince of Persia. I like Prince of Persia, and I was looking at it and I was like, this doesn't feel like Prince of Persia. But I mean, looking at a game that Ubisoft made and going, this doesn't feel like the franchise that you've slapped on the box is not exactly a new experience for any of us, so what would I expect? Anyway, next up was Mortal Kombat with their new game Mortal Kombat 1. Now, this isn't a series I really have any interest in. I don't play fighting games, but I've always had a kind of surface level interest in Mortal Kombat. I think the characters are really cool. I think the lore is really cool. It's just I don't play it, but I certainly think the characters are awesome. If I see someone cosplaying a Mortal Kombat character at a convention, I always go like, oh my god, look at your outfit, because the characters are super cool. And MK1 is looking really good, especially because the location that they showed off in the trailer was some kind of like posh penthouse apartment with inflatable flamingos in the background, and I was like, I'm there for a game with inflatable flamingos, 100%. Also, they revealed that Jean-Claude Van Damme, the muscles from Brussels himself, is going to be voicing Johnny Cage after all these years, and I just love it. Like, crazy. Then they showed some kind of, I don't know, crossover between Exoprimal and some other game. I can't remember, I didn't write it down. The reason I'm bringing it up is because Jeff then went on and said, I bet you didn't have that on your bingo cards. And I was like, oh no, Jeff knows about the bingo cards. Jeff isn't supposed to know about the bingo cards. The E3 bingo cards that we've been doing for years now tick it off every time someone says world premiere, every time someone says something unbelievably cringy, every time someone makes a dad joke, every time a celebrity makes a random appearance, every time someone shows off a trailer and no one cheers, every time someone cheers for something that is not a trailer and it's just a random thing. So many things on our E3 bingo cards. And Jeff has found out, Jeff is aware of us. Oh no, we have been seen. But anyway, speaking of things that you would not expect in your bingo card, the very next revelation was truly the wildest thing I think I have ever seen in the history of Big June Gaming Week. When they revealed that Nicolas Cage is going to be a new character you can play as in Dead by Daylight. Nick Cage himself. And then Jeff stands up on stage and goes, please welcome Nicolas Cage. And the actual Nicolas Cage walked out onto the Summer Game Fest stage and spoke. And I was just like... And I need someone to make a compilation of like every streamer reacting to that moment. That is what I need. Because I was not watching it on... I wasn't watching anyone stream, I was just watching the regular live feed so I could like hear what was going on, because sometimes if you're listening to a streamer, like there's so much going on and you're reading the chat and you're listening to them talking that you actually like miss what's happening on the screen. And then I was like, oh man, I wish I was watching someone's feed right now because I need to see people react to this because this is insane. Yeah, truly the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but I mean, awesome. Everyone loves Nicolas Cage. What a guy. We also saw a new game from Akira Toriyama, who is the creator of Dragon Ball Z. It's a game called Sandland. It looks, in terms of its style, a lot like DBZ Kakarot, which I never played, but I got it from my boyfriend because he's a big Dragon Ball fan, and he really enjoyed it. He played through it twice. And there was, I mean, I saw him once. He was playing the game, and I left my house and went for a walk and came back an hour later, and he was still fighting the same boss. And I was like, you could not pay me to sit for an hour and fight the same boss in a game. You literally could not give me enough money in the world for me to sit and do that. but for some reason he enjoyed it, so I'm wondering if he would enjoy Sandland as well. Next up, they showed off Alan Wake 2, and out came my boy Sam Lake. Sam Lake as father, father is fathering. I love Sam, I love his silly face, his silly Max Payne face. He came out in a suit, he looked so fucking cool. Because like Jeff's there in like his chinos and his Nikes, and then Sam walks out in this like perfectly styled suit on his like ridiculously skinny body, and he just looked so good. I love him. Am I slightly in love with Sam Lake? Do I have a bit of a crush on Sam Lake? Probably. I love him. And I love Alan Wake. Remedy are like my favourite studio ever, like up there with BioWare and Naughty Dog. Like, I love Remedy so much. They've literally never put a foot wrong. They are incredible. The only time that they've had a game that's ever not been perfect was when Rockstar ruined Max Payne 3. But other than that, Remedy are perfect. And I'm super excited for Alan Wake 2. It looks fantastic. And it was fun watching everyone in the chat get angry when a black lady showed up on the screen and started calling the game Alan Woke, because fuck all of you. Remedy don't care about your stupid shit. Anyway, by the way, I am aware that my right eye, yes, it is my right eye. I'm looking at the camera and I'm like, my right eye is twitching. It's been twitching now for about 4 days. I think it's probably hay fever. And like having really dry eyes from the heat and the pollen. So please, if you can see my eye twitching, just ignore it. Please just don't look at it. It's very annoying and very embarrassing. Please don't look. Then we got the release date for Spider-Man 2, which is awesome. It's coming out not that long before my birthday, which is pretty awesome because that means that hopefully I can put it on a list for someone to get me for my birthday, so that's cool. Super excited. Love Spider-Man, Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales were so good. Really looking forward to the sequel. It looks awesome. And then finally at the end we got the trailer for FF7 Remake, which I was so excited for, and Jeff decided to troll us like about halfway through the show where he said, speaking of Final Fantasy, and everyone like lost their shit, and then he was like, no, DoorDash have got you covered, and come out with some stupid DoorDash discount. Like, shut up. But it turned out he knew that he was going to be showing us FF7 at the end of the show. So I honestly could have cried like right then and there. It looks so good. I have no idea what's going on. Like, I do not know the plot of Final Fantasy 7 like any further than the first remake. Like, that's all I've played. I've never played the original. And I kind of decided I didn't want to because I didn't really want to spoil it for myself. Like, I don't really want to go and play the original and like spoil the story, even though I know the story's going to deviate. I just didn't really want to spoil anything for myself, so I've been keeping away from Final Fantasy VII in anticipation of the rest of the remake coming out, so I'm super excited. The only thing that made me sad is that the biggest Final Fantasy VII fan in the world was my friend who passed away last year, and I can't look at FF7 without feeling a pang in my heart, thinking like they would have loved this and they should have been here, because they were the one that told me to play FF7. They were the one who said, I think you would love Final Fantasy VII, you should get Final Fantasy VII. And they were right. So I owe my love of that game to them, and it's not fair that I'm going to get to play it and they can't. And I just hope that if they can, I hope they know that they can float on over my shoulder. They can possess me as a ghost if they want and play the game through my hands, because God knows they'd probably be able to play it better than I can. I hope that they know that they have full permission for me to haunt me and play the game with me. If you want, you can absolutely do that. I hope you're hearing me right now. You can come down and haunt me and we can play FF7 together, because we never got to go to Comic-Con as Tifa and Aerith together, so we can do this together. That would be really cool. Next up, on the 8th of June, we had Day of the Devs, which is basically a big festival of gaming, and according to them, this was their biggest event yet, so that's awesome. Really love that for them. There was super good vibes at this show. Everyone was just really enthusiastic and happy and cheery, and that is what I'm looking for when I come to one of these shows. I just want to see a bunch of devs who are really excited about what it is that they're putting out, and everyone was super excited. But yeah, I love a game show where everyone's just really enthusiastic and excited and just really, really hyped to show you what they've been making. Because, like, what is the point in being a game developer if you're not enthusiastic and excited about what it is that you're making? Isn't that the whole point of working in this industry? From this show, I'm keeping my eye on Simpler Times, which is this kind of pretty cozy narrative game where you're like in someone's house and you're going through their belongings, and there's like little kind of puzzles and mini games and stuff, and you uncover the story, and it's just like a chill time that'd probably be good for like a rainy Sunday afternoon. Viewfinder, which I thought looked really cool, is this puzzle game, but the idea is that you have a camera and you walk around the world and you can take a picture of literally anything and turn that into another piece of the world. So like if you need a gap to like try and cross like a section where there's like no bridge, you could like take a picture of like a bridge from somewhere else in the world and place it there. Or you could like, if you need to try and climb up, you can take a picture of stairs, or you can take a picture of literally anything. You could just take a picture of like a plant pot and then make another plant pot for no reason. And it just looked really cool. I have no idea how it works. I have no idea how they've coded that. I don't understand. I was watching and I was like, how does this work? But it just looked really interesting. So I'm super excited for that. And they were so excited to show it off. And I'm like, you should be excited because this is crazy. I have no idea how you've done this. This is so clever. I would be fucking excited to show that off too. Good for you. So I thought that looked awesome. Henry Halfhead, which is a game where you're basically a big old blob. You're like a head of like like a severed head, not severed, but like you have no body, you're just a head, and you sort of bounce around and you can possess objects to do tasks. So like instead of being able to lift things because he doesn't have any hands, he has to like possess things. So like if he wanted to make toast, he has to like possess the bread and jump in the toaster and then jump out and then jump into the toaster and turn the toaster on and toast his bread, then get the toast back out. And then like he has to like possess the tap to turn on the tap to like get water into his mug, and you know what I mean, like he has to do the task by actually possessing the objects. And again, it just looked like a really kind of fun little game and weird, and I love anything that's a bit weird. So and then finally 80, which is a pretty painting game where you basically paint the world around you, and then people will like ask you to like paint commissions, and you can use any of the things that you've painted to create your commission. So like in the trailer they show like the player character bumps into these two boys who are playing football, and they want like a football painting. So like you would paint like the football pitch and like the football, the goals, and then you go back to your house and you can construct a painting with the things that you've painted out in the world. And I don't know, it just looked really cute. There was something about it, and you know, the actual paint creation mechanic gave me, you know, made me think of the poster making mechanic and the Bratz video games, and everyone loves the Bratz poster making mechanic. So yeah, I thought that looked really cool.
Just what the ever-shitting fuckfire have you assholes done now?
Also on the 8th of June, we had Devolver Digital's 2023 extravaganza, The Return of Volvi. Now, I spend all year waiting for my 30 minutes of Devolver Digital insanity every June, and they always deliver. This year, the story was about their former mascot. He's not really. They invented him for this. Called Volvi, and the various iterations he went through before finally being retired and then brought back in 2023 because of reboot culture, and it turned into an AI robot because of AI culture, who generates games from vague concepts because everyone's having their jobs taken over by AI and all the art is being stolen and created by an AI. Devolver, the one thing we can always say about Devolver is that they know. They spend all year watching the climate and then use that to to create something and rip the piss out of it. They did it when they made fun of subscription schemes. They made the very first show they ever did was just making fun of E3. Last year it was about all the games, like creating game singularity where all the games were turning into all the other games, because obviously we're at the point now where like everyone's trying to make the same game, and even if you're making something that's a different genre, you're trying to convert it into a different genre. So it's like video game singularity. And this year they were taking the piss out of AI and like the way that companies try and drag up things from the past and use it as nostalgia bait. So Volvi is nostalgia bait, but he also becomes an AI robot. And then he's starting to explode, and his creator, Ron Trodfield, had to smash him to pieces. And honestly, it was fabulous. Everyone raise your giant hand for gaming in tribute to Volvi. So even the 15-minute countdown to the show this year was wonderful. There were these hilarious messages from Volvi appearing on the screen. It was so funny. The one that said, "Your clothes are unattractive," honestly had me wheezing. I just love Devolver. They do not give a shit, and I love them. Plus, they had the characters. There was like Winnie Calcium, a guy called Chris Jake, who was just like credited as Loud Person. Obviously Ron Trodfield. Like, these names are just so silly. The whole thing was hilarious. They'd obviously put so much effort into it because they had like so many filmed scenes, like kids supposed to be eating like Volvi themed cereal. Like, they were putting so much effort into the show this year, and I love them for it. Devolver are the best. I love them. The games that they showed off looked really great too. I'm excited for the Talos Principle. Love a good puzzle game. And Baby Steps had me in stitches. I was like choking on my own laughter. I sent the trailer to everyone I know. I put it on Facebook. Like, I just needed everyone to talk to me. I was like, you need to see Baby Steps. I need someone to talk to about Baby Steps. It was as if someone looked at Death Stranding and said, what if we made this game but made it fun instead of being like incredibly bleak? And it just looks hilarious. I need it. Like, day one pre-order. Baby Steps. Incredible. Admittedly, I did miss my squad of Nina, Hazel, Melissa, Margaret, Zane, and all the others, but it's okay. I'm sure I'll see them again in the future, and I absolutely loved what they did instead, so it's okay. On the 9th of June, we had the Tribeca Game Spotlight, which was enjoyable as always. They had some pretty good games on show. There was Highland Song, a platformer set in Scotland, so once again, representation. Goodbye Volcano High, a narrative visual novel-ish game about a bunch of teenage dinosaurs who are waiting to be wiped out by the meteor and are trying to enjoy their last days on Earth. It sounds absolutely miserable, but like weirdly uplifting and hopeful, and I'm probably going to sob my way through it, but I'm so excited. It looked great. And Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. This might be the game I'm most excited for out of the entire showcase, like the entire week of showcases. Basically, it's a game where Greek gods exist and they sing, and they are voiced by some of the greatest VAs out there who are singing, and you have to like help, like, your narrative decisions are basically like creating songs. It just looks so cool. The art looks amazing. Everyone who's worked on it is so excited, and I'm so excited. I think this game looks fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. On the 9th of June, we got the Accessibility Showcase, and this was their first ever showcase, and I'm so happy about it. I absolutely loved it. It was a showcase of games that can be easily played by disabled gamers, showing off accessibility features as well as promoting games created by disabled developers, which I just think is a wonderful idea. I'm not disabled, but I do understand how it feels when a game isn't accessible to you. You know, with my severe motion sickness, and I'm not kidding, like, my motion sickness is ridiculous. I get motion sick by going over a speed bump. I can get motion sick in a car going a 5-minute drive to the local supermarket. It's really embarrassing, actually. But with my motion sickness, like, so many games are just not available to me. I can't play any first-person shooter, so I'll never play Halo or Bioshock or Wolfenstein or any of those amazing first-person shooter games out there. They're just not accessible to me. Even Power Wash Simulator makes me dizzy sometimes. Like, I really have to ration myself in that game because it can make my head spin. And while there's nothing that can be done to make those games more accessible to me, you can't make a first-person shooter third person. It's just not, it's not the creative decision that they're going for. But there are loads of games out there that with just little tweaks here and there can be made genuinely accessible to people with disabilities, and I think we should be doing that. And I'm glad that we do have more of a focus on accessibility features now. You open up the accessibility menu in a game and there's so many different choices now to make gaming an experience that will work for you. And it's not about trying to make the game too easy or about ruining the player experience. It's just about making the game accessible to people who maybe just need slightly different settings. You know, whether it's easy button commands for people who have reduced movement in their hands, or auditory prompts so that people with reduced vision can tell what it is that's on the screen, or the ability to change colours and text size just to make it easier to read or to process, or to help with people who have migraines who can't look at really bright colours for too long. So many things that can be done, and it was just fantastic to see an entire showcase based around that concept. As the host Laura K. Buzz said, as a disabled gamer watching these showcases, you don't always know which games you can play and which games you can't, but here in the accessibility showcase, you know that the games that are being shown are for you, and you can hear specifically how they have been adapted for your own needs, and you can tell right off the bat which games you're going to be able to play and which games you can. And I just think that is amazing, and I'm so glad that they've done this. So as I just said, the host was a woman named Laura K. Buzz, and she was really fun. At first, I didn't understand why she described the way she looked. I thought it was just maybe like a quirky thing to say, like, I'm a woman with blue hair wearing a blue dress. But it wasn't until another presenter did it as well that I realised it's for the blind people tuning in. They're describing the way they look so that blind people can visualise in their head what it is that they're watching. And that's just so lovely. And the fact that I didn't pick up on it originally just shows how ignorant the able-bodied can be, because we just don't think about the world in the way that people with disabilities do. It didn't even occur to me that, you know, you might want to be able to visualize what it is that you're looking at and not just listen to it, you know? It just goes to show how narrow-minded our view can be of the world when we don't have the experiences of other people. So they had disabled gamers speaking about their experiences, and I found that really powerful. There was a gamer named Vivek who was speaking about the importance of gaming in his life as someone with neuromuscular dystrophy. He doesn't have the ability to go out and experience the world the way that able-bodied people do, but in video games, he can go anywhere. He can be anything. He can do anything. He can travel to other worlds and meet interesting people and escape from his reality. You know, he can run and he can fire weapons and he can cast spells and all these things that just make him feel free, when in reality he is very limited in what he can do in his life because of his condition. But in video games there are no limitations. You literally can be whoever you want to be, and hearing him talk about that was really beautiful. Later in the show, Stephen Spawn spoke about his experiences growing up and about how he had to watch his friendships fade because his friends, as they got older, wanted to go out and do things. They wanted to go out and have these different experiences. They wanted to go places that weren't accessible to him because the places they wanted to go didn't have wheelchair ramps, and he literally couldn't get in the door with his wheelchair. And he started to feel like he was becoming separated. But one friend asked him to come around and play video games in his garage instead, and that was how he stayed connected to his friends, was with video games. And now he is a video game developer himself, helping to create accessible games for other people. It's just a lovely story. Game-wise, I like the look of Mythwrecked Ambrosia Island, which is a cozy game featuring the Greek gods, and also Solace, which is a very funky looking visual novel, which I'm very interested in. And I just wanted to shout out the amount of Scottish developers in this showcase. I heard so many Scottish accents and it was just great. Like, mon the Scots. We understand accessibility as Scots because we can't access any voice recognition software because it doesn't fucking understand us. I also noticed on YouTube there was a standard feed as well as an audio described feed, British Sign Language translated, American Sign Language translated feeds, all of the show to make it more accessible for all different people. And I just loved everything about this showcase so much. I'm so glad that they did it. I hope they're back every year. I love seeing a showcase about accessibility. That's just wonderful. On the 10th of June, we had Future of Play, and I wasn't particularly into this show. It didn't really hold my attention. The host was, I think, a VTuber named Milos. I didn't recognise them, I didn't know who they were. But there were a few games that caught my eye though. Cavern of Dreams, which is a kind of Spyro Glover-like game with actual PS1 graphics, which just gives me all the nostalgia, because those are the games that I loved to play when I was a kid, so it's really cool to see someone making a new one of those. A game called Ritual Night, which is a social deduction game, probably trying to come for Among Us' crown over here. And a puzzle game named Escape from Mistwood Mansion, which also looked pretty cool, and I'm sure it also featured in the accessibility stream because it's got a lot of accessibility features, so that's very cool. And then of course, after Future Play, we had Wholesome Games Direct, and my mum asked me what a wholesome game was when I mentioned this to her, and I said it's basically you are insert cute animal who lives in insert idyllic location, and you run insert type of shop / cafe. And lo and behold, the second trailer in the pre-show was like, you're a cat, you live in the woods, and you run a tea shop. So, am I wrong? So Wholesome Games had their first ever pre-show, which I just thought was so cool. Like, good for them. They're expanding. That's awesome. I honestly love the Wholesome Direct stream. I've mentioned this before because everyone's just happy. The games are super cute. The vibes are positive. The artwork is always really colourful and beautiful. And everyone in the chat is nice, which is unlike pretty much every other show in the entire week where everyone's just arguing, calling everything woke and insulting any game that has a woman in it. I know, because I saw the fucking live chats and it's horrific. Some of the shit that people say during these fucking shows is just hideous. But then you go into Wholesome Games and everyone's just like, yay, this looks so cute, love you devs, thank you devs. And it's like, yes, it's so nice to see people actually just being happy in this fucking hell of a community that we have that is video game community. Like, so nice to see some nice positive vibes for once. The hosts for this one were Jenny Wyndham, as always, love her hair, along with Kennedy Rose and Gab Smulders, and they were great. We got our second and third Frog games of the week, a game called Frog Song and a game called Kameru? I can't pronounce it, but frogs. From this stream, I had my eye on Usagi Shima, Flutter Away, The Palace on the Hill, Lakeburg Legacies, Garden Life, Wildflowers, Fall of Porcupine, and Tiny Bookshop. I could sit and tell you what they all are, but I think you get the idea. When it's Wholesome Games, they're all cozy and cute. That is the only thing you get at Wholesome Games, is cozy and cute. So by all means go and look them up if you want to know more. And also Wholesome was partnered with Able Gamers, which I thought was so great. We got to see a bit more of Steven Spawn during this stream, and yeah, just really love, again, putting the accessibility at the forefront. Really great. Following Wholesome Games, we had Future Games Show, which has always been one of my favourite shows, and this year is no different. I was super excited for this show, super excited to see who our hosts were going to be this year, because last year we had the voice actors of Geralt and Yennefer, and this year we had the gods of voice acting, Yuri Lowenthal and Laura Bailey. Actual Ben 10 himself, and Spider-Man, but Ben 10 himself, and where is she? Abby. Absolutely iconic. Great hosts. Loved it. They started off with a musical performance, which was very E3. We love to see it. Games that I look forward to from this one, there was quite a few. We had Steel Seed, a stealth action game where you have a drone bestie that helps you. On Guard, a musketeer game. You play as a female musketeer, and I was like, I need it. I need to inject it into my veins. Everyone knows I have 5 copies of The Three Musketeers. I love The Three Musketeers. It's my favourite book of all time. I'm so fucking there for anything that involves musketeers. Like, I am there. I need it. I don't care if the game's bad. I wouldn't even care if it was the worst game I ever played. I'm absolutely there for musketeers. Like, if you ever saw me in itch.io Adventures, I played the worst musketeer game that someone made themselves. It was genuinely horrifying. Like, in terms of how bad it was, and I still played it because it's musketeers. So On Guard has got to be better than that, so I'm excited. Alaskan Truck Simulator made another appearance. They recently renamed it to Alaskan Road Truckers. I still think it looks cool. Thought it looked cool when I saw it last year. Still think it looks cool. Not usually my kind of game, but I think for a truck simulator it looks really good. Lords of the Fallen, a dark fantasy RPG, which looks really good, but I know I would suck at it. As soon as they say you have to fight epic boss battles, I just know it's not a game that's made for me, but it looks very good. Reveal? A spooky PT-like first-person narrative horror game, which looks super fun. My friend Nathan would absolutely love it. I don't tend to play horror games, but I do watch Nathan play them on their stream, so I will probably catch them playing it at some point, because I know what they're into, and definitely one for them. Life by You, which is a life sim that a lot of sim players were talking about recently. I've seen it in SimsTube. A lot of sim tubers have been talking about it recently, so yeah, keeping my eye on that one. Daymare 1994 Sandcastle, which was a game that was shown off last year. It made another appearance this year, and it still looks really good, so I'm still looking forward to it. But honestly, the most insane reveal of the entire show was that Wallace and Gromit are getting a VR game called The Grand Getaway. And I just don't know what to do with that information. As soon as they said about Wensleydale, I was like, no, you're kidding. And then the graphics come up and I was like, no. Sure enough, it's a Wallace and Gromit VR adventure. June Gaming Week continues to be the most bizarre thing in the world. Also on the 10th of June, we had OTK Games Expo, and I have to admit, I left this one until the very end because it was 4 hours long, and by the time I'd watched everything else, I just couldn't face another 4-hour stream. So I'm so sorry, this is the one that I ended up skipping. I will probably watch it at some point, but I just can't take another 4 hours of gaming showcases. Honestly, I had no brain cells left by the time it got to the end of Big June Gaming Week. So I'm so sorry to OTK, but I just couldn't face it. Then on the 11th of June, we had the big boy of the gaming shows, Xbox Games Showcase, followed by Starfield Direct. Now, I don't own an Xbox, apart from my old Xbox 360 that I bought last year to play Fable. But considering some of the biggest games are at this event, it would be insane to skip it. Like, you're going to miss out on such important stuff if you don't watch Xbox Showcase. So, speaking of Fable, the first game right out the gate was Fable, and I almost fell off my chair because I did not expect it to be the first thing that they showed. I saw Playground Games come up on the screen and, like, spat my drink out. Anyway, Richard Iwadi looked really cool, but the one thing that kind of brought the trailer down is that I can't figure out anything about the actual game itself. It was just him sort of waffling about stuff, and then there's like a girl, but she's tiny and he's a giant, and she climbs up. I think he's meant to be the giant at the top of the beanstalk, but like none of that actually tells me what the game is really going to be about. And I love Fable, so I'm super excited for a new Fable. I just want more information, and it's been years, and I guess I just wanted a little bit more information than what that trailer gave us. But hey, it looks really cool. So then Ubisoft tried to kill me by showing me stuff, and I just don't want to look at it. We got news of a Persona 3 remake, which had leaked a few days earlier, but there it was. Although the follow-up revelation that it will only adapt the original P3 and not the updated and expanded versions that everyone sort of agrees are better, including the one where you can play as a female protagonist, was a bit of a blow to the fandom. No one really wanted that to be the situation, but it's Atlas, and honestly I fully expect them to come out in like 2 years' time and be like, ta-da! Here's the new version with all the other stuff. Pay us $50 again, you know? Speaking of Atlas, they also have a new Persona 5 game called Persona 5 Tactica, as well as a new IP named Metaphor Re Fantasio, which I think looks very cool, so keeping my eye on that one as well. The Yakuza trailer was absolutely hilarious, and we found out during the RGG summit that that's a real scene from the game. I thought it was just a funny trailer, like the Goat Simulator trailer from last year, but no, that's a real scene that actually is a thing that happens to Kazuga during the game. That's insanity. We saw a new horror game from the Chinese room called Still Wakes the Deep, which looks really good. Keanu made an appearance because of course he did, and he revealed that Idris Elba is going to be in the new Cyberpunk DLC. Why not, I suppose? Also, City Skylines 2 got revealed, and everyone in the chat that I was looking at was super excited for this one. This one I was actually watching on someone's stream, and everyone was very, very excited about City Skylines. I don't really play SimCity type games, city builders, not really my thing, but City Skylines has always looked like it's probably the best of all of the city builder games. It looks really, really good, and it's had so many updates and expansions. So yeah, I'm sure it is really exciting that they've got a new one coming out. Sadly though, despite the entire stream, there was no Dragon Age news. I was very, very disappointed because I just want my Dragon Age Dreadwolf to come out, or at least to tell me a bit more about it. Just give me something, give me the tiniest bit of info, like. But it came out, I saw on Twitter this morning that BioWare, EA are moving Star Wars The Old Republic away from BioWare and giving it to another studio to allow them to focus on Dragon Age and Mass Effect 4. So that could be good news. That might mean that production might speed up a little bit. So fingers crossed, because I'm dying here. And then following the Xbox show, we had Starfield Direct, which was an hour-long look at Bethesda's long-awaited space RPG called Starfield. Now, my notes that I took at the time reads, Todd Coward, leave me alone unless you have the Elder Scrolls 6. And I stand by that. But admittedly, Starfield does look very good. There's a lot in there that looks truly fantastic. It looks like it looks like it could be like the new huge game that everyone's going to be super into. But I'm still viewing it with much skepticism, just because Cyberpunk looked fantastic. We were all super hype about Cyberpunk. I was hype about Cyberpunk and I couldn't even play it because it's a first-person game. And I was excited. And we all know how that ended. You know, Todd Coward got up on stage and went on and on and on about how amazing Fallout 76 was going to be. And Fallout 76 was one of the most disastrous launches I've ever seen. And that's literally the same man who's heading up this, Todd Howard. So I'm going to be skeptical about Starfield, but I really hope it's good. I don't want it to be bad. I just want to temper my expectations because we have all been burned before by Bethesda, so. But we did find out it's releasing on September 6th, so I guess we'll find out then how it actually fares. On the 11th of June, we had the PC gaming show, and oh my god, you do not understand how cringy this show was. It was hosted by Sean Plott and Frankie Ward, as usual. They host it every year. But except this year, Frankie was supposed to be an AI construct of herself, and let me tell you, that bit got old fast. Frankie speaking in this overly cheery Alexa voice that was just incredibly grating. I just wanted to die. But anyway, once again, we saw Nivalis, and I still don't know what it's about. The Invincible came back. That was a first-person puzzle game that's like on Mars, I think, that was shown off last year, and it looks really cool. Baldur's Gate got this ugly, cringy Bob's Burgers style animated trailer, which was just really, really bad, and I don't understand who thought that was a good idea. But the game itself looks really good. The trailer for the actual game looked very good, but I don't know why they had this ugly animated trailer, because it was really bad. But yeah, Baldur's Gate looks really cool. BioWare aren't working on this one, but that's probably for the best, because that means they can make me more Dragon Age. But the wildest reveal of the showcase was definitely the new Christmas Carol themed Metroidvania named Ebenezer and the Invisible World. Insane. We've got the Pinocchio Souls-like, we've got the Christmas Carol Metroidvania, and we have Wallace and Gromit VR. What a year to be alive. Oh, but at least the show ended with a blooper reel, so, you know, that was fun and sort of made up for it. Then on the 11th of June, we had the Final Fantasy XVI launch celebration, and holy shit, this event was 5 hours long. I had to watch it over multiple days because just like, Jesus Christ. But honestly, it was absolutely fantastic. Probably the best event of the week, to be quite honest. So first up was the producer's keynote, introduced by Square Enix CEO Takashi Kiryu, who seems like a lovely man. He gave this speech about how he got the first Final Fantasy as a reward from his father for helping him pick oranges, and now he's the CEO of Square. And I was like, what a fucking heroic story. Actual dream come true. That's amazing. That's amazing. And he just seems super sweet. And he said at the end that this was the first, or someone, I can't remember if it was him or someone else, said that at the end that this was his first ever public speech that he's given in English, and he absolutely nailed it. Fantastic. We love him. Then we got a Jim Ryan jump scare, but after that, out came the producer Naoki Yoshida and the localization specialist Michael Christopher Koji Fox, who has the greatest name I've ever heard in my life. So the entire event was conducted in English and Japanese, with Koji Fox and a lady named Ellen providing like the live translation so that everyone can have a conversation in both languages. And I just thought it was really fantastic. It's really nice that they didn't just expect anyone to have to try and speak each other's language. They just had live translators to sit and translate so that everyone could just sit and talk to each other. And I think that's awesome. And everyone in the chat was saying how amazing Ellen was, and she was fantastic. She just was so fluent, so perfect. Her dialect, like her accent, everything about it sounded so perfect. Everyone in the chat there was one bit where Max kind of asked a really, really long question, and everyone was like, oh, like you should have shortened that bit because she's gonna have to translate that. And she just sat and rattled it off, for like sat there and just rattled off this giant question, and everyone in the chat was like, oh shit, God, what? People were more excited about this girl translating this guy's really long question than they were about the game itself. It was awesome. But next out were the main director Hiroshi Takai and combat director Ryota Suzuki, as well as Maximilian Dude of all people, for the Icon Power Showcase. And Takai and Suzuki were just so funny. I really enjoyed listening to them. They showed off a shot of the new Moogle, and I literally gasped and like almost burst into tears because it's literally the cutest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so cute. And they've brought out like plushies of the wolf that you get as like a companion. I don't want the wolf, I want the Moogle. The Moogle is the cutest thing I've ever seen. So Max tried out a battle in the most difficult setting to see what would happen, and he did really well. He lasted a good long time, but he did end up dying. So he handed the controller to Suzuki-san, and he fucking smashed it. He won. He beat this thing, destroyed that demon. Everyone in the chats was losing their mind. The audience was screaming. It was incredible. I loved it. Next up was the narrative panel featuring Kazutoyo Maihiro and Koji Fox, and hosted by Alana Pierce. So everything about this game just sounds fantastic. I'm very excited for it. I love the idea of these lore guides, the time lore system, the visual lore database. It all just sounds really cool, very me. And then it was the music panel, which was my favourite part, with Masayoshi Soken and hosted by Alex McCalla. Soken, as it turns out, is absolutely hilarious. I loved him. They showed off a live action trailer, which was amazing, and then Soken and Alex played some music together, and Soken ended it with the Final Fantasy fanfare, and everyone cheered. And then Soken and Koji had this banter and talking about writing songs together, and it's obvious that they're just like besties, and I would watch them like do a sitcom. They just seem so fun together. And then finally, everyone came back on the stage for closing remarks and a big explosion of confetti, and it was wonderful. I loved it. Fantastic event. Was worth sitting through, even though it was super long. It was so worth it. And from the best event of the week to Ubi Forward, on the 12th of June we got Ubisoft's conference, and oh boy, my toxic ex, whose stupid showcase I tune into just to check that they're still as awful as I remember. So they kicked off with a live Just Dance performance, and suddenly I missed the pandemic, because for the past few years they haven't been able to do their silly live Just Dance performance, but no, it's back. We all have to suffer that again. Then next up, they showed off Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and being an Avatar superfan, whilst also being a steadfast Ubisoft hater, is my villain origin story at this point. The game does look gorgeous, but this is Ubisoft, so I imagine it's going to be a boring, bloated mess of bandit camps and nothing side content. I was watching the trailer and all I could think of was that Animal Crossing meme where it's like, Raymond's my comfort character and you don't deserve him on your island and you should let him go to someone who's going to appreciate him. And I'm like, that's me with the rights to Avatar. Like, give them to me, I will appreciate Avatar more than you ever could. But in any case, it was revealed during this stream that the game is in first person unless you're riding like an Ikran or one of their horse creatures. So I couldn't play it even if I wanted to because I can't play first person games. So I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. Like, it has freed me from worrying about this game because I wouldn't have been able to play it regardless of who made it because it's not in third person. So, but anyway, it'll release on the 7th of December, so we can see then how it goes. Maybe it'll create a resurgence of love for Avatar. I freaking doubt it, but maybe it will. Then we got another look at Prince of Persia. We got Skull and Bones, except not really. After 10 entire years in the making, all Ubisoft had to show us of Skull and Bones right before it goes into its open beta in August of this year was 5 dudes singing a sea shanty. Now don't get me wrong, it was wonderful, the sea shanty was great, they all sounded great, but my god, Ubisoft, like, if this game ever releases, it's going to be a miracle. It's been in production for a decade and we haven't seen hide nor tail of it. Like, the Cruise trailer was really lame and just can't believe that they couldn't rustle together some real gameplay of a car driving around, but no, they went for a CGI trailer of a car game. But then we move on to the important part of the show, the Assassin's Creed portion. So first we saw Nexus, which is their new VR offering starring Ezio, as well as Connor and Cassandra, the worst protagonist the series has ever had, because Ubisoft are smoking something, clearly. Then we saw some more of Codename Jade, which looks trash, to be honest, and a lot of people didn't realise it was a mobile game and were really pissed off about that post-show, which was fun to watch. I've still seen people in comments like, so excited for Jade, going to be the best, like, big RPG, and everyone's like, it's not an RPG, it's not a console game, it's a mobile game, and I was like, how have Ubisoft put such a great time period in a mobile game? And I just laugh. Then of course we had Mirage, which finally had some gameplay to show after all this time, and let me just read out what I wrote while I was watching it. In what universe does Mirage feel like AC1? It does not. Fucking Rebecca. Altair didn't have a bird, Ubisoft. Altair didn't teleport, Ubisoft. I hate you, Yves Guillemot. So just to go over that, they kept saying about how Mirage is meant to be a love letter to AC1, it's supposed to evoke the feeling of AC1, and honestly for me it doesn't. There's nothing about it that makes me feel like it's AC1. It doesn't, it just feels like Valhalla. The HUD is Valhalla. The fact that they didn't even update the HUD to try and like look a bit more like AC1, I suppose they can't because it's the same Animus, so they can't, but and if they did, then I would be the hypocrite because I'm the one who keeps moaning about like them not acknowledging like the reality of the situation as it is in an Animus. But my point is, it just feels like Valhalla, but in Baghdad. It doesn't feel like AC1 to me, but maybe I'll be proved wrong. But the trailer does not make me think of AC1. Then I put fucking Rebecca because there's a historical character whose name is Rebecca, and I'm like, shut up, you're doing this to taunt me. You are deliberately doing this to piss me off. You've read my Tumblr posts about how much I want Sean and Rebecca back in the series properly, and you've done this to spite me. I know you, Ubisoft. You're at it. And then, of course, they showed that they still have the stupid flying bird eagle mechanic, and I'm like, Altair didn't have a bird, why is this stupid mechanic here? If you're trying to make this AC1, it shouldn't have the fucking bird, but they do. Then there's a stupid teleport mechanic where you like sit and you like plan your like assassination and then teleport around the screen, and I'm like, when did Altair fucking teleport to assassinate people? When did that happen? What part of AC1 did we teleport? None. Shut up. This is not AC1. And then Yves Guillemot shut up, and I'm like, fuck off, we all hate you. Fuck off and fix your company, fix your rampant sexual abuse. Fuck off. So that's how I feel about Mirage, and at the moment it's nothing but delusion and disdain. So yeah, we're not feeling positive about Mirage, but let's move on. Also on the 12th of June we got the Capcom showcase. Now I'm not a big Capcom fan outside of Ace Attorney, so I don't have a huge amount to say about this one, but here's what I do have. The Pragmata apology was hilarious. More studios should do this instead of apology.jpg on Twitter, which is all we've seen over the past few years. Instead they made a trailer to apologise for the game getting delayed. I thought that was really fun. Ghost Trick Remake looks really good and I'm excited to play it. It's out on the 30th of June. Ace Attorney's second trilogy is getting updated, so Apollo Justice, Dual Destinies, and Spirit of Justice are finally getting modern graphics, getting brought to modern consoles, and they're being translated into a bunch of languages, which I think is really awesome. And also Dragon's Dogma 2 got revealed. I've still not played Dragon's Dogma, but it's on my list of things that I should get around to one day, so... then on the 13th of June, we had the Xbox Extended Showcase, and I somehow missed the memo that this was on, and I'd actually turned on my iPad to watch a different showcase and realised that this had just started 4 minutes before, and then I had to tune in because I was like, well, it's live, I should really watch it, so that was that. Keanu made another appearance, and he seems to still love Cyberpunk despite all of the launch disaster, so that's kind of cool, because he'd said before that he was in a video game and it sucked so bad that he would never do video games again. So when Cyberpunk was as bad as it was, I kind of thought maybe he would never ever do video games again, but as it turns out, no, he is still very happy with Cyberpunk, so good for him. We found out Phasmophobia is coming to consoles in August, which is very exciting. I have a lot of friends who really want to play Phasmophobia but can't because their computer can't run it, so that's very exciting. Hellblade 2 is looking really good. Really enjoyed all the behind the scenes look at that. And there was a section about Dune where they looked at like the plane models from like the movies, which was a bit random but was really good, really interesting. Oh, no. On the 13th of June, we got the first ever Dames for Games, and I loved it. It's crazy, to be honest, that it's taken until 2023 to have a showcase purely of female-led game development. And you might think, it's 2023, women aren't second-class citizens anymore, why do you need your own showcase? And that's true in pretty much every industry except video games. You only need to look at the live chats during the big shows like Summer Game Fest, Xbox, PlayStation, Ubisoft, all of the big shows, and see these pathetic basement-dwelling man-babies yell woke every time a woman appears on the screen, or say that they won't buy a game because it's got a woman in it, or saying about how the Fable protagonist looked ugly and how they need to fix her, and they won't buy it because there's a black person, and they won't buy it because there's gay people, and I don't want this gay shit in my game, and all this kind of stuff. You only need to look at this shit to realise that we are still being considered interlopers in this field. That there are still people who just cannot accept anything that isn't a white man either being in a game or being the person making a game. And so, you know what? I think we do need events like Dames for Games to show that we are here and we matter and we make good games, we make good game protagonists, and we also make great gamers. Because people, for some reason, think that we aren't here, that we don't exist in this space, that gaming is still something exclusively for men. So I think this was necessary, and I'm really glad that we got it. And I fucking love the mix for giving focus to black devs, female devs, and in this show, black female devs, because the show was hosted by 2 black women, and I think that's awesome. So as much as there were loads of different female hosts throughout the show, even my girl Jenny Wyndham made an appearance, but the main hosts were Destiny Cleveland from Freedom Games and Black Voices in Gaming, who founded the event, Queen, and Red Infamy, and it was just great. They had these long, in-depth interviews where women were just allowed to talk about their work, which was wonderful, and they were spotlighting streamers and gamers and child gamers, you know, girls who like to game, talking about what gaming means to them. And I just thought it was awesome, talking about what it's like to be a mum, to talk, like, you know, what it's like to try and be a mother and a gamer, a mother and a streamer, talking about connecting with other mothers and about, like, having neurodivergent children and how, like, gaming can help them. And it was just a really great, really positive stream that I just think was so important, and I'm so glad that Destiny got this off the ground, because it was great. Game-wise, I thought Wrestle Story actually looked really good. It gave me really big, like, Bratz vibes in terms of just the way that it works, and I think I would actually really enjoy it. And then they ended the show with a long look at this game called This Bed We Made, which had come up on my Facebook a few months ago, and I was really intrigued by it. So to actually get to see it properly and get to hear from one of the developers, it was even more exciting, because I was already on board for this game, and now I'm super on board for it. It looked great. I'm really excited for that game. Straight after Dames for Games, we have Black Voices in Gaming, which is also created by The Mix, and the hosts for this one were Justin Woodward, Destiny Cleveland, and Derek Fields, who are all fantastic. And I also found out from this stream that Black Voices in Gaming are now not just a game showcase, but a non-profit organisation that are providing funding for black developers, and I just think that's so fucking cool. I love that. And they were so supportive throughout the stream. They had So they had kind of smaller devs who were in talking, and they actually said to them, like, contact us so we can, like, help you with funding. There was someone else who was saying that their son was trying to get into game development, and they were like, we'll get him to talk to us and we can get him set in the right direction. And they're just so supportive and so good, and I just love it. I love the mix. I love what they do. I just think they're a great organisation, and to see Black voices in gaming out there really not just promoting Black gamers but actually helping them. And they had a lady in who runs like an organisation to like help young people get into game development. Fantastic. Just amazing to see people really getting out there and really helping others in the community, especially minorities who maybe don't have the same opportunities as other people. I loved it. I thought that was amazing. Games wise, I really liked the look of Breeze. It looked really cool, and there was a dev named Indigo, and she just seemed like the sweetest girl ever, and I just wanted to shout out how lovely she was. On the 14th of June, we got Upload VR. Now, I can't play VR games, obviously. If I can't even play a first-person game when the screen is static, I cannot play a VR game. I tried once at a Comic-Con just to see what would happen, and I almost threw up. So, it feels kind of pointless to watch this stream, but I just like to be in the know, so this is what we got. Stride Fates really looks a lot like the original Mirror's Edge, and it just made me miss Mirror's Edge. It looks really fun, but I would die if I played it, but it looks great. Arcade Legends looks so fun. It's basically a VR arcade and you just go in and play all the games, and I was like, this is amazing, because I love the amusement arcade, you know? All the fun of a grabber machine without catching norovirus off the buttons. Like, everything I've ever wanted. David Slade Mysteries looked really cool, VR mystery game. Then fucking Madison came in and jump scared me with that stupid fucking song. I hate it so much. You do not understand how much I hate the Madison song. I hate it. I hate it so much. I finally bought Power Wash Simulator earlier this month and I love it, so part of me wonders if I would do better in the VR version because my head would be moving like in time with my gun, but actually I think I would probably just throw up just the same, so... But who knows, if anyone ever gets it, I might give it a shot. Drums Rock, which is basically like Band Hero, and I was like, wow, remember when Guitar Hero and like Band Hero or whatever it was called, Rock Band, were like the thing? I felt like I went back in time, you know? What a time to be alive if Guitar Hero's coming back in fashion. Retropolis also looked very cool. Then they showed off people using VR headsets on a treadmill to pretend that they're running outside, which makes sense in concept, but like, why not just go and run outside? Why are you running on a treadmill inside in a VR headset? Just go outside. Really strange. And also I thought that the graphics on Lo-Fi looked amazing, because one thing I've always thought is like VR, the downside of VR is how blocky and cartoony the graphics always are, but Lo-Fi looked really good and I was like, oh, are we actually, the graphics are improving in VR land. That's pretty cool. Then we had Grasshopper Direct on the 15th of June, and in this 11-minute showcase, Suda51's company, Grasshopper Manufacture, celebrated their 25th anniversary with the community managers James Mountain and Maddie Kopp acting as hosts. They showed a very fake, very American Suda51 who opened his speech with "What's up, assholes?" and said, "I don't have anything to say, so I'm just going to talk about some random shit." And honestly, if it hadn't been said in perfect English with an American accent, I would have completely believed that that was Suda. Maddie kept trying to ask questions and was being ignored by James, which was really funny. And then the show kept putting up trailers that looked like YouTube ads to like mess with your heads, because they're not really ads and you can't skip them, they're trailers. And then at the very end, they went into the room behind the hosting desk and found the real Suda asleep on the couch. It was great. It was just 11 minutes of gold. And then finally, we had the RGG Summit Summer on the 15th of June. So Ryoga Gotoku's showcase unsurprisingly focused on their two upcoming Yakuza games, Like a Dragon Gaiden: The Man Who Erased His Name and Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. I've never played Yakuza, but it's a series I've been meaning to get into for a long time because it looks like something I would really enjoy, so it was interesting to get to hear from the team and actually hear them talk about these games that I'm planning to play. Kiryu and Kasuga's VAs were there, along with other VAs all answering questions. it was just a really fun panel overall. Gaiden is releasing on the 9th of November, and then Infinite Wealth will be out very early next year. And then we haven't got to it yet, but Annapurna is having a showcase on the 29th of June. Annapurna are the dev studio that made What Remains of Edith Finch, which I played on my channel just recently, as well as Stray, which I also played recently but not on the channel, among other things. So I'm really excited to see what they've been working on, because they are a great studio. But yeah, that was Big June Gaming Week 2023. I hope you've enjoyed my roundup. I hope that I've given you some games that you might enjoy. If you watch my channel, you'll know what kind of things I'm into, and if you tend to be into the same kind of things as me, then maybe you can go and look up some of the trailers for some of the games that I mentioned, because you'll probably like them too. If you're on the same wavelength as me, then we'll probably be liking the same things. Yeah, I love Big June Gaming Week. I'm absolutely knackered from it, but I love it, and I'm always really excited for it, so that's awesome. And as I'm recording this, the House Flipper 2 demo comes out later today, so I'm very excited for that. So yeah, it's a really great time for video games, I think. I still think we're in the worst era of video games, but I think we may be starting to scrape our way out of the depths of hell and back into decent games again. Especially from the indie developers. The big studios might be making trash, but the little studios are making some really great stuff. So thank you for watching, thank you for joining me in another trip through not E3, and I'll catch you next year for more. Bye everyone. So Nintendo would wait until all of not E3 is finished to announce that they're doing a direct. So that happened on whatever day it was. I lost track at this point. Did I write it down? I don't think I did. No. So whatever day that was. I don't really play any Nintendo games other than Animal Crossing, so there wasn't really anything in there that was standing out to me. I don't play Mario. Mario is of absolutely zero interest to me, I'm afraid. It's not been something that's ever appealed to me. But there was some Mario RPG, which just baffled me. I had no idea that was a thing. We got to see about 4 seconds of a Princess Peach game that, I mean, everyone's really excited, but we didn't really find out anything about what it's going to be, or how what kind of game it's going to be, or a plot or anything. It was just literally a shot of Princess Peach. We also found out that Batman, it said the Arkham trilogy, and I'm like, there are 4 Arkham games, but they mean the Rocksteady trilogy, because there's Origins was made by a different company. But I always feel bad for Arkham Origins, because I genuinely really enjoyed that game, and people are too harsh on it. There's nothing wrong with it. It starts off a bit slow and a bit, it definitely takes a bit to get into, but see, once you actually like get past the initial kind of guff, it's a really good game, and it's a shame that it's not more appreciated. But yeah, so Arkham's coming to Switch. I have no idea why anyone would want to play Arkham on a Switch. Like, I can't think of anything worse than trying to play Arkham on a Nintendo Switch. I realise that I only have a Lite, so I can't put it onto a TV screen. But I don't want to play Arkham with Joy-Cons. I don't really want to play most things with Joy-Cons, to be quite honest, but whatever. And the show itself was hosted by 2 guys who genuinely made me feel the entire time like they were going to murder me through the TV. They just seemed way too serious for a video game showcase. Like, I mean, I know that that's what Nintendo are kind of like want to do, but I'm just like, why have you got these 2 guys in suits just intimidating me through the TV screen? Like, Nintendo's supposed to be like fun and family friendly. This is not fun. This is just making me feel highly unsettled. But yeah, so that was Nintendo Direct. They decided to do that at the last minute. It's currently, as I'm recording this, the 29th of June, so Annapurna Interactive is tonight. And I am really excited to see it, because I completely forgot when I was talking during the main video, I forgot that they are the company that are publishing Thirsty Suitors, which is the game that I saw at E3 last year that I was most excited for. Like, of all the games I saw at not E3 last year, Thirsty Suitors was the one that really, really stood out to me and that I've been really excited for. I've been checking compulsively ever since for details about release dates and stuff for that. So I'm really hoping that we get to see some more of that at the Interactive tonight. It's at 8 p.m. BST, so I'll be tuning into that when it comes around. I really like Annapurna. They put out some really, really interesting games, and I'm really hyped to see what else they have, but hopefully I would like to see more of Thirsty Suitors. But speaking of Thirsty Suitors, I said at the end of the main part of this video about how we were about to go into Steam Next Fest. It's now post Steam Next Fest because it's now been almost 2 weeks since I recorded that video. And I really enjoyed Steam Next Fest. I played a lot of games, so I thought I would just, since I'm here, just make a little update on the games that I did play. So I did get to play the demo for Thirsty Sitters. At first, I didn't realise it was there, because when I scrolled through the list of games on Steam Next Fest, it didn't appear. Obviously, I didn't scroll through everything, because there was, like, loads. But it didn't appear, and it was giving me games that it, thought that I would want to play, and it didn't give me Thirsty Sitters. So I didn't see it, and it wasn't until, like, about halfway through the week that I noticed on Twitter a post from Annapurna being like, if you missed out in the demo last time, make sure you play it before the weekends. And I was like, oh my god, there's a Thirsty Sister demo in Steam Next Fest. So I went on and I played it, and guys, it is everything that I hoped it would be. The characters, the voice acting, the silliness, it's so silly and it's bright and colourful and fun, and you can use your own mother as a summon during the fights. There's skateboarding. We didn't get to try any of the cooking mechanics, but I know that there's cooking involved. It was just so fun and so good. The voice acting is great, and it's just made me even more excited for the full game, because I was already really, really behind this game, but actually getting to play some of it, and it wasn't even a huge portion, but just the little bit that I got to play, I was like, I'm so sold on this game. And my laptop didn't seem to catch fire while I was playing it. It seemed to cope, so it seems like a game that my laptop will actually be able to process, which is good. Because it's always unfortunate when I get really excited for a game and then realise that there's just no way for my computer to be able to play the game. But Thirsty Sister seems like my computer will be able to handle it, so I'm very, very excited for when it finally releases, because I am so completely behind it, and like I say, I hope we get to see a bit more of it tonight at Annapurna. You'll also see on my channel I played Sticky Business, which I mentioned during the video. I really, really enjoyed that. It was so fun and so cute, and I could honestly sit and make those stickers all day. Like, making those stickers were so fun, and I could play that game for hours and not get bored. It's just so enjoyable. So I loved that. I played a tiny sticker tale, which I also mentioned in the main video, and it was really fun and really cute. I saw someone had done a playthrough of the demo and titled the video, "This is the cutest game I've ever played," and I'm like, it so is though. It's so cute, and I'm in love with the little pirate cow. She is adorable. I need her in a sticker. Like, I noticed on their Kickstarter, like, one of the tiers you actually get like a real sticker book, and I was like, god, that's so tempting just for the stickers, because like the characters and everything are so cute, and I'm so excited for the full release of that, because I really want to find out what happens next. So I would love to get to play the full game, so looking forward to that. I did play House Flipper 2. It is phenomenal. I've seen a lot of people criticizing it, a lot of people saying like, I don't want it, I just want House Flipper 1, and that's fine, and you're entitled to your opinion, but personally, I honestly had nothing bad to say about it. After the actual demo, it gave you a link to a survey. Obviously, they wanted feedback, so like, it was asking like, what did you like, what did you not like, what do you think could be improved, what annoyed you, was there anything you couldn't figure out how to do, blah blah blah. And I was like, honestly, there was nothing that I didn't like. And that's not just me like hyping up Frozen District. Like, if I had genuinely constructive feedback, I would give them it, but there was nothing. I liked everything about it, and I am so excited for the full release, and I'm so excited for it to be on a console, because I was playing it on the computer, and as much as House Flipper I would say is definitely better on a computer, and it has things that we don't have on console, like Apocalypse Flipper and HGTV Flipper, which we're never going to get on console due to reasons. Apocalypse Flipper they can't put on console because of the age rating, and HGTV they can't bring to console because Discovery decided to be dickheads and start some kind of licensing debacle, so they can't put it out anymore. But I do personally, I play House Flipper on console. I prefer playing it on console. I know I could play on computer with a controller, but I also had to play House Flipper 2 literally with my like 4 foot tall fan, like giant fan directed at the laptop because the amount of heat that my laptop is generating. The game is too much for my laptop to handle, and I knew it would be. But I was desperate to play the demo, so I just sat right in front of this fan, freezing my arse off as I tried to keep my laptop at a reasonable temperature. But I loved it. I thought it was great, and I know that the graphics aren't as realistic as they were in House Flipper 1. I don't really care because honestly I thought the graphics were gorgeous. The customization options are so good. Everything looks so good. The cleaning is so satisfying. I don't really miss being able to install the baths and the toilets and stuff because honestly that's my like least favorite part of doing a flip is having to install the bathroom. Like I hate doing bathrooms in House Flipper because it takes so long and I just can't be arsed. So I'm not particularly sad about losing the installation if they don't put that back in. But no, for me, I thought it was great. It was super fun. So I'm really excited for House Flipper. I also played the demo of Stray Gods, the role-playing musical. It was great. We got to see some of the songs. We got to see how the kind of mechanics, the choice mechanics works, meet a bunch of the characters. We met the main character, Grace. We met Calliope, Athena, Persephone, Aphrodite, and Hermes, as well as Paul. Was that his name? And someone else. I can't remember. It was great. I really enjoyed it. The voices are incredible. The singing is incredible. The songs are really pretty. Oh, and Freddie. We met Freddie, of course. And it was so funny because I didn't know who was playing who. And like Calliope walked in, and at first I didn't recognize the voice. Like I did, but like I didn't click who it was. And then as soon as she started singing, I was like, oh, it's Ashley Johnson. But then there was this weird thing where like Troy Baker's character was kind of talking as if him and like Ashley's character had some kind of history, and I don't know what kind of history. It could have been platonic, but I was interpreting it as romantic, and I'm like, you can't make a romantic relationship between Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson. My brain physically won't process that information. Don't do that. But oh, it was so good, and the character seems so cool. I'm so excited for this game to come out. I want to know all the songs. It's going to be so good. Yeah, that game looks fantastic. I also played the demo for Goodbye Volcano High. It was only about half an hour, so like we didn't get a huge amount of kind of information about the kind of storyline of it. I saw quite a few people online criticizing it, saying that it felt kind of cringe. And I suppose it did in a way, but I still think it's fun. It's definitely got that kind of. The thing is, like, remember Life is Strange, right? Life is Strange, the first Life is Strange is literally the most cringe-worthy thing in the world. And we all love it. Like, we embrace the cringe of Life is Strange. And so I think Goodbye Volcano High has that same kind of level of cringe about it, where it's like it's cringe, but we love it. And also teenagers are cringe. Like ultimately, teenagers are cringe. When you were a teenager, you were cringe. Teenagers are cringe. So these teenage dinosaurs at the end of the world are a bit cringy, and I think we should just embrace that and love them for who they are. So I'm excited to get to see more of that game as time goes on. And finally, I played the prologue of Corporation, which is still up because that wasn't for Steam Next Fest. It's just there. It's just out. And honestly, that game was like far more involved than I expected it to be. I said how that game sounded like it was kind of be along the same lines as like Death and Taxes and like Don't Feed the Monkeys, and it is, but it's actually more involved than both of them. There's like a load of features in it. So you work as this person that works at a company, like a factory kind of place, in this kind of dystopian world where like everyone has to work for like this one company that controls everything, that kind of style. It's called Ringo. Their mascot is a raccoon. He's great. And you become a temp worker in this part of the company that sorts samples. So you have to start like sorting these samples, and your first day is quite simple, but then like you get contacted by this like what would you call them, protest group, anti-establishment group, that want you to like give them the samples so that they can like I don't know, do something with them. We don't know yet what the samples are for because it's only the prologue. So they contact you and they try and like steer you off the course, but then like your work find out because they've been checking your emails, and like if you do exactly what the people say, which is what I did, you end up getting like sacked because they know that you're like playing for the wrong side. So I assume that in the full game you need to kind of measure it so that you have to make sure that you're not so off the rails that you're going to get sacked from your job, but you also want to try and like help the dissenters. But on your, like, when you go back to your apartment, you have a computer and you have to like pay your bills, like in Don't Feed the Monkeys. But there's like so many other things. Like there's an entire game bit. It says like state approved gaming, and the only one you have in the prologue is the fighting game. Solitaire is still to come. Good old Solitaire. But you get a fighting game, and it's like a proper like full-fledged game where it's got like daily login bonuses, daily quests, like XP, upgrades. You can buy cosmetics for your character, you can buy new characters, you can buy upgrades, you can like do all these things, and it's like a full-fledged game in a game. I was so surprised by like how in-depth this fighting game is within this completely other game. There's also daily surveys that you take that give you money, but if you answer them in a way that the company don't like, they actually put a ban on you getting money. Because what I did, I answered them honestly, and the company emailed me and said that like, you're not answering them in a way that we approve of, so for the next few days we're not going to pay you for your surveys. And I was like, oh. And also there's a catalogue, there's where you can buy stuff for your room. So I got myself a Ringo Raccoon plushie and put him on my bed. You can buy yourself like a radio so you can listen to music. You can buy cosmetics like decorations, posters, new bed sheets, stuff like that for your room. There's news, there's a person that you talk to via your phone, you have like text conversations with them. It's just really, really in-depth for this kind of Papers, Please-esque game, and I'm really, really excited to see what comes next, because actually I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to, and I'm really looking forward to it. So that's where I'm at now. I thought I would just, since I was going to do an update about Nintendo Direct, I thought I would just give her an update about the things that I played during Steam Next Fest, and yeah, so that's where I'm at with all of the not E3. I'm not going to do an update on Annapurna just because I'm planning to get this game out tomorrow, this video out tomorrow, because tomorrow's Friday, and it's just going to be it's going to be too much of a rush to try and record a bit for Annapurna and then get it edited and get it all out by tomorrow afternoon. So I'm not going to do that, but I am really looking forward to what they have on tomorrow, on tonight. And yeah, so once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.